With this, we will move ahead to our next session, which is a fireside chat on innovation making a difference. The speaker for the session is Mr. Abhinay Choudhari, co-founder and head of new initiatives, Big Basket. Mr. Choudhary is the co-founder and head of new initiatives at Big Basket. He is an IIM Ahmedabad alumnus. He was conferred with the Young Alumni Achievers Award by IIM Ahmedabad in 2016 in the entrepreneurship category. Mr. Choudhary has guided Big Basket from its initial stages to becoming one of the leading online grocers in India. Prior to this, he had set up stylecountry.com in year 2000 and run pure play e-tailing business in India for branded personal lifestyle products by building alliances with 30 leading personal lifestyle brands of India. He started his career stint with Mitsubishi Corporation, where he handled their project with Unilever to set up India's first cold chain, all of which came in handy later in his career. He has also worked with Netcraft, iGate Global Solutions, and Infosys Consulting, Inc. This interactive session will be hosted by Mr. Aritra Sarkar, Chief Executive Officer, Wedoria Technologies Private Limited. Mr. Sarkar is the founder and CEO of Wedoria Technologies Private Limited, an enterprise which aims to create comprehensive solutions to improve the world we live in. Mevoro.com, a digital platform to transform lives by enabling the pursuit of passion, is the first product from Wedoria's stable and was launched in the year 2018. A graduate from New York University, Mr. Sarkar, his stripes with Dow Jones and Company, where he handled marketing research. After returning to Kolkata, he had been a part of ABP Group and had worked in different capacities in the various divisions. In his role as Vice President Strategy of the ABP Group of Publications, he was responsible for the group's transformation from a print company to a multimedia conglomerate with specific focus on new media. During this time, he also launched a service called ABP One, an integrated marketing division that focuses on creative specialized marketing solutions for Eastern India. He is passionate about sports and fitness, enjoys traveling, reading, and movies. An ardent writer, he has also written and self-published the book Goliath of Shenzhen, which is about the right way to overcome an oppressive regime. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please call in for a round of applause for welcoming Mr. Abhinay Choudhary and Mr. Aritra Sarkar both on the stage, please.
Hello. Yeah, works. Good evening, Mr. Choudhary, and thank you so much for taking your time out to come to our fair city of joy. And hopefully someday we'll turn this into the city of innovation. Well, in your opinion, what is it about Bangalore that attracts the innovators of India?
I think it's very obvious. First is the weather. Bangalore enjoys the best weather in the country, continues to enjoy the best weather in the country. I have lived across multiple cities in India, and Bangalore beats everybody on the weather side. But that's the one factor. But yeah, talent, because the whole IT revolution, the software revolution actually started from Bangalore, Infosys, Wipro, on all of these in 80s. And I think that has really built a huge talent base in the IT industry as such, and then a lot of startups happened in the first wave of .coms, and I think that's another real factor behind why so much startups happen in Bangalore, because of just the talent base, and then over a period of time, then the ecosystem kind of builds. So there are success stories. So people who started, they have become successful, and then they start another new startups, and hence it kind of keeps growing. Right? So talent, I would say, ecosystem, and weather.
No, that's a great set of observations, because here in Calcutta, we actually have, well, we may not be blessed with the best weather throughout the year, but we do have very good weather in certain spells of the year. And we also have a very good base of talent. As you would probably know that a large number of programmers and managers working in the IT industry happen to be from Bengal.
Yeah.
But they've often relocated to Bangalore because of the dearth of opportunities here,
Yeah.
rather than actually their own volition,
Right.
in a manner of speaking. So I mean, I'm an entrepreneur currently that's trying to make it out of Calcutta with the talent over here. And my observation is that people here tend to be more loyal. They they tend to be, I would say, much more judicious about the use of their time, and they are definitely the one thing which we could probably learn from, I think, in Bangalore, maybe is the drive as well,
Yes, yes.
But I'm going to the industry and your specific venture. Tell me about what inspired you to begin on this journey towards becoming India's latest unicorn, which you've become this year, I believe.
Right. So, I mean, as was pointed out during the initial talk, that I actually started the first, my adventure into the whole .com space during the first wave, which was in 99, 2000. That was the first wave of .coms, right? And I actually built the first lifestyle, which is very similar to Myntra today, but it just lasted for 3 months because the timing was very wrong, right? I mean, we were in those dial-up world, right? There were hardly any credit card, in terms of users, and also it was too early for the market to have a lifestyle portal, right, in 99, 2000. But whatever I learned in those 6 months really kind of helped me to do Big Basket in 2009. So long journey actually. After I did my Style Country in 99, I always kept on thinking, what can I do, while I kept moving from one job to the other. Worked in UK, worked in US, Canada, and then all through my childhood and adulthood, I was also doing grocery shopping for my family, right? So I was in 5th, 6th standard. My dad was in BHL Bhopal, and there used to be these weekly markets, right, where you go and buy your fresh fruits and vegetables for the family, right? So I used to have a budget of 20 rupees to buy for the whole family for 7 days. So whatever I kind of went through as a consumer, right, of buying grocery for the family, and that continued when after I got married. Wife said, you do a good job, so please continue. So I did that in UK, did US, and then realized that, there is a huge issue in terms of our offline grocery experience. And the last project which I was doing, where I was with Infosys Consulting in London, was with Tesco.com, right, which is was the biggest online grocer, like a omni-channel, right? And that kind of really exposed me to that something like this would do wonders in India, having gone through that experience over so many years of broken, customer journey in the offline world, and my earlier setting up the front end for the lifestyle. That's when I said, okay, if I can focus on the front end. I know how to do that. I just need somebody to, take care of my back end, because capital as a first generation entrepreneur is always a challenge, right? So I had a limited saving of 25 lakhs, which I actually put in the beginning into this venture, and tied up with Metro Cash and Carry. They started their first store in Bangalore in 2003. So before I actually moved with iGate to London in 2005, I have been and seen Metro Cash and Carry store in Bangalore, and just that kind of stayed with me, right? And I was thinking that how do I do it is when one of my holiday trips to Bangalore, I went and bounced off this idea. I want to set up a front end for grocery, right? And I would want to use your back end, and I want to integrate with you guys, because until unless inventory visibility is there, I can't promise what can I deliver to the customer. And that worked out, and they tied up with any startup in this kind of a fashion for the first time anywhere in the world. Right? So that kind of really helped to to launch it with the limited whatever capital I had. So I mean, I had some real consumer insight, because a lot of people were trying to do online grocery, but they were not really addressing the problem. The problem is not about buying dry goods and getting delivered home. The real problem is something wherein I buy something very frequently, for which I have to go every second day, which is like fresh fruits and vegetables, right? So everybody was like Indian mindset, housewives, they would want to touch and feel, right, before they buy anything, right? The reason they have to touch and feel is because the quality which is available is not standardized. if somebody tells me everything is consistent, nobody wants to waste time picking from that touch and feel, right? Listen, just give me 1 kg, right? So, so what I focused on initially was a full assortment to the consumer so that they can avoid the trip to the store. That's only you're solving the problem. If you just say, I'm selling, dry goods, I'm giving detergents, I'm giving confectionery and all of that, there is no pain in that, right? The real pain lied in doing this 2 or 3 times in a week, going and buying fruits and vegetables. So if I can avoid the trip to the store where I can give them the full assortment delivered at home, is when I'm solving the real problem. Though it had its own challenges because you're handling chilled products, frozen products, all of that stuff, right?
But let me just interject you over there because we have in Calcutta, for example, I'm sure throughout India, we've always had the experience of grocers or of kirana shops delivering to the homes already, right? So it's not like, say, abroad where home delivery is actually a very premium service.
Right.
Here it's actually almost it's a given. The fish wala, for example, calls you and delivers to your home.
Yes.
How do you compete with the existing system working pretty, at least at a consumer level, very friendly?
Right.
How do you compete with that?
So it's I mean, as you could imagine, each of these guys are focusing on a portion of your purchase, right? So kirana guy has a very small shop. He carries any given point of time 800 to 1500 SKUs, right? Then you have a separate guy, F&B guy, a separate guy for meat guy, right? So if you have to really shop across these, you are interacting with multiple people, right? So which is itself is quite inconvenient. So what we started off with was a assortment of 5,000 products across all of these, right? So obviously, as I said, you have an assortment so that you can avoid a trip to the store. And it's all convenient, it all comes home, right? And therein, what happens in case of kirana, and though you can do an order over phone, but you are not able to really see the full range. You're not able to see the promotions, right? You just say, give me this, right? And he just brings it. Sometimes he brings the wrong product as well. Sometimes it takes time. But here it's like a DIY where you're able to explore everything and make the right decisions and get the full assortment delivered. So that was the initial huge convenience. And then people who kind of really, latched on to this in the beginning were really people facing some time poverty, right? With the double income families and the kind of, working schedules there. So grocery is a repetitive experience, right? And I want to just quickly finish. I know what I want to buy to large extent, right? It's not I'm browsing that, oh, let me check out the colors, let me check out the styles. I know exactly what brand I want to buy, right? And so I want to quickly finish that job, right? So get in and get out, right? So people who came to us were somebody who was looking for full range, a guaranteed delivery, right? Because they are facing time poverty and a huge convenience factor, right? And then it kind of became a major phenomena because then there's a strong word of mouth which happened. There's always a trade-off between how much time you want to spend, doing this activity every second, third day versus, how much of touch and feel you are really gaining in terms of. So we focused on the quality aspects of these fruits and vegetables so that customer, first of all, when it is delivered to them, they have a choice to return it. We have all grown in a scenario wherein service is always, not really that great in the sense that I buy something in an offline store and I walk out of that store and I realize something wrong I have bought, right? Or I don't like the quality. If I just go back, I have not even entered my cart, right? I'm just stepping out of the store. All bills say goods once sold cannot be returned, right? So I'm having something I don't want to. I want to return it. The guy will not take it. So in fruits and vegetables, which is so sensitive, right? So we gave this option to customers from day one that if you are taking 6 tomatoes, if you don't like 1 tomato out of 6 tomatoes, you can return 1 tomato at the time of delivery. And people were like, oh, this is great service, right? Especially people, aged people and all that. They've never seen this in their lives, right? And instantly, the moment you return that, we build the feature so that you can return 1 egg or 1 tomato or 1 apple out of whatever you are receiving. Immediately, the credit happens to your wallet and you see the SMS money has come back. So this kind of really build huge trust factor that, okay, first I can buy whatever, it comes home, great convenience, and I can return whatever I don't like without somebody asking any question, right? Not just at the time of delivery, we also build, knowing the fact that, fruits and vegetables is a very sensitive category. Even if you call after 2 days from home, right? So customer service saying that, listen, I bought 6 apples, I have eaten 4, now I'm cutting the 5th one, this is not good. And we empowered our customer service to give the money back of that 1 apple if customer calls saying that 1 apple is not good. So all of that really helped in building that whole trust and a very different experience than what you otherwise get when there's a home delivery done by kiranas or F&B and stuff like that. Yeah.
So I think one of the very striking things about what you say is the fact that there was an established behavior
Yes.
which people were sort of used to.
Right.
And that behavior had to change.
Yeah.
Correct. And that probably is the biggest barrier, right?
Right.
Is because behaviors, especially when it comes to, say, things which are, which are so essential,
Yeah.
tend to be very sticky.
Yes.
Right. So, and this is true for many industries as well, whether it's toothpaste or newspapers.
That's right, yeah.
Many people sitting here will be in different offline universities, businesses which are driven by habit. What is your observation or advice to people who are in categories or industries which want to change a habit?
Yeah, so I think what really, as I shared with you, being the customer first yourself, right? Being in the customer's shoe and really realizing that what I want as a customer is the starting point. A lot of times what happens is we are disconnected from the customer, right? Because we know, you have this, that I understand the customer, I know the customer, and then customer has been behaving like this, and so he'll continue to behave like that, right? But then you get into a further details of the real customer pain, which is which you go through if you are yourself a customer, is when you discover certain areas which you yourself, right? Which is what you then realize, this can be improved. And if it gets improved and you do a consistent job of that improvement, then it's a strong word of mouth which happens, right? So, I mean, take any example, take cab hailing, for example, right? Obviously, there were taxis, right? I mean, everybody was using taxi, but it was a broken experience, right? You change the whole, paradigm of how I want to use a taxi, right, with the apps. So that's wherein the whole thing is, right?
So, that kind of strikes me as well, very similar to the case which Travis Kalanick once wrote about when he, when he was talking about how he started Uber, which was that back in 2010 or 2011, he was in Paris, and he just finished a conference, and he was waiting to get a taxi, and there was none around, and
Right.
he was completely, he was very angry with that situation, and he felt that these should be available at the point of a button.
Right.
So it was almost as if he was discovering a pain point,
Right.
but then he acted on it.
Right, right.
But most people, if you really see, like, I mean, almost everyone, we experience certain pain points every day.
Yes.
Yet most of us suppress these pain points. We keep it inside, right?
Yes.
Most of them. But it is a rare person or the rare breed that actually takes that pain point and can see an opportunity out of it.
Exactly.
How would you describe that mindset? What is required to actually take a pain point and convert it into an opportunity for the betterment of
So,
society?
I mean, that's really what the whole entrepreneurial spirit is, right? If you want to really see, so it's about choices people make, right? So, I mean, all of us or majority of us must be feeling a pain point, as you rightly pointed out, but one would want to maybe address it, right? Yes. And if you address a pain point, you yourself have to really go through a lot of pain. I mean, that's honestly speaking, that's the reality.
It's like an Agni Pariksha in a manner of speaking.
Yeah. So I mean, I had tough time in the beginning, right? So I was running it almost alone for 2 years. In the process, I had to sell off my house because every investor I was going and talking to, they said, Indian housewives, fruits and vegetables, touch and feel, right? It will never work in India, right? That was everybody's reaction, right? But they never realized that why that touch and feel happens, right? As I pointed out, because the quality which is available is not consistent. If I give you something which is 1 kg, all tomatoes, same size, same shape, same firmness, nobody wants to go and waste time in touching and feeling, right? So now, today, we are number 2 fruits and vegetables retailer in the country, right? 17% of our revenues come from fruits and vegetables. Whereas in the offline world, in the supermarkets, Spencer, More, all of these places, it's 9 to 10% of the revenues. When they are physical, offline, touch and feel, they get only 9% of the revenues of F&B. We get 18%. So it's about really, trying to understand what actually is the cause, and then you address that. Is very, so it takes obviously time. You have to challenge a lot of things. You yourself have to go through a lot of pain. Not everybody is prepared to go through that pain because it's a trade-off, right? If I'm running, for example, my first job was Mitsubishi Corporation. It was a Fortune 1 company when I joined them in 97, right? And I mean, you get used to that comfort, right? From first job, and you just like that comfort. But then there's not much learning which was happening, and hence I kind of jumped on to whatever. Yeah. And that experience helped me to do the second time. So yeah, I mean, it's just the mindset, the spirit sometimes which works for somebody, a hunger, a desire to do something on your own kind of thing, really. Yeah.
But I think a very important point that you had actually mentioned is the fact that you yourself have to go through the pain and maybe even suffer a calamity.
Yes.
To go through that, and that is very scary for a lot of people.
So a lot of things are changing now. I mean, so that's being.
But how did you overcome? I mean, you must have gone through this tremendous calamity over there. When you lost your house. How did you overcome that psychologically and forge ahead? Because most people would get broken in that situation. How did you find the courage to?
Yeah, so I mean, it is, as I said, it's what you then hear from your customers, right? Your initial few set of customers. You set some milestones to start with, right? So my initial thought that I want a customer who will spend 5,000 rupees in a month, right, online with on my portal was the first parameter I had, and I said I just need only 5,000 such customers. This I'm talking about when I started, and the very first month of the launch, I got a customer who bought stuff for worth 5,000. Right, so that kind of really further strengthened the whole idea. Yes, there is, right, and the kind of feedback that you get from your customers, right, when you yourself obviously go and interact, then you say you're on the right track. That further obviously strengthens your whole thought process that you're on the right track, right.
So in a way, the customers become part of your family.
Yes, exactly.
In a manner of speaking, right? So then they, just like a family supports you in that sense, the customer's feedback is like a feedback which is galvanizing you,
right,
to move forward.
So it's a latent demand, and then it kind of really surfaces, and then you see that repeating. Then you yourself thought of that to start with, but then you see playing it out, right, as you go along. So that really kind of helps.
And how do you see the future of your industry, of your space, and your business, say over the next 5 years?
So
where do you see the opportunities are?
Yeah, so I mean, I was complaining about the developed markets. Take UK, US, South Korea. All of these are very well organized retail markets, right? There, the penetration, the highest penetration of online groceries in Korea around 17%. UK is around 7-8%. US is around 4-5%, right? Now, where actually the offline experience is great, right? Because they have really evolved in terms of their supply chain over several decades, right? India organized retail started only in 2003, 2004. So organized retail itself is very small of the overall pie right now, and online grocery is less than 1% as of now. So we see a huge upside for us going forward, right? So I mean, it's great future for online grocery as a proposition, and more players will are entering now, right? They are realizing that online grocery is a very sticky category, right, because of the repetitive nature. What really works in an e-commerce, and hence Amazon keeps launching additional services. They want the customers to keep coming back to them very often, right? And grocery is a use case which is a very high use case. Food tech is another use case, right? Because you want people to come and order breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever. So anything which brings in stickiness, brings the customer back to you more often, is a great space to be in, right? Hence, everybody is so gung-ho about getting into the grocery side.
Another very interesting, I think another point which I really fascinated with, in particularly in the end, all the aggregator businesses or, such as yours, where you're actually aggregating and then delivering, is the whole supply chain.
Yeah.
These, and they are largely individuals.
Yes.
Right. Whereas, if you look at offline, then the supply chain includes a lot of companies, small enterprises. Here you have all individuals.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about them? There's some of their stories and how, how many jobs you've created with this.
So ours is actually not a marketplace model. Ours is an inventory-led model, and we work directly, in fact, with farmers. We work directly with millers. We work directly with the brands, right? And we stock everything, right? So we actually work with close to 10,000 farmers. And so we have disintermediated the entire supply chain on the F&V side of it, right? Because till yesterday, I mean, before they were kind of selling to big basket, they have no choice but to go to mandi, right? And mandi, once they have reached the mandi, whatever is the price prevailing in the mandi, they have to sell it off at that price, because they don't want to incur additional cost of then bringing the stuff back, and it's anyway perishable, right? So they don't discover the price right? Versus in our scenario, we actually communicate the price to them in advance, right? And with that price, he decides, okay, how much material I want to go and sell to big basket.
So
right?
do you quote the price to them? As in, you say that this is how much you're willing to pay?
Yeah, we tell them the price the previous evening. So we have collection centers, 30 collection centers across the country, which are nearer to the farms, right? And so the farmer brings the produce over there, right? Price is already known to him, and he can bring whatever he wants to bring, right? And then he gets the money within 24 hours.
So are you competing in that sense with the traditional middlemen who...
Yes, we are, right. So we are removing those middlemen in a way, right? Because what is happening is consumer is getting better prices, better quality, and the farmer, right, who produces is actually getting a higher share of the final retail price.
But in India, the middlemen are very strong politically, How do you... have you experienced political backlash because
So far,
of this?
no. So far, no, because I think government is all pro-farmer, so, and we are doing, really a good job when it comes to really enabling the farmers to get a higher share of the retail price.
I see, because a lot of companies have tried this before,
Yeah.
and they've run into a very, very heavy resistance with the entire, with the political establishment, with the middlemen. Do you anticipate such problems coming up as you scale up into, particularly now you're focused more on cities,
Right.
25, but as you expand, do you foresee that, or do you think that this could become an issue going forward,
So, I mean, as
Or
I
you're
said,
not so worried about it now?
I mean, I don't foresee an issue. As I said, government is very pro. They themselves want, obviously, to increase the farmer's income. And the only way to increase farmer income is to, one, increase the productivity of the farms, reduce the cost of production, and then increase the percentage of the retail value which you get, right? Those are the only three ways you can really increase the farmer's income, right? And other side is about this whole credit part of it, the payment cycle part of it, right? So what we have done is that we have set up our systems right at the collection center. When we take it, we enter that we have received the goods, and within 24 hours we pay the farmer into his bank account. So they are able to then obviously, are able to get the cash back much faster than what otherwise they get in the traditional channel, and at a higher price, right? So it's definitely benefiting them, and so they are very, and we also help them in terms of some of the farming practices. So we have our agronomists who kind of work with them how to improve productivity, what to grow and stuff like that. So it's working great as of now, and we get good support from the government for that matter.
And do you think that that because you are building direct relationships with the farmers, in the future you could venture into areas like contract farming and things like that to further strengthen your agricultural base?
Yeah, it could be a scenario wherein we can do that. For example, this whole organic farming, right? We are again one of the leading organic FNV sellers, right? Therein there's a need because it's a transition. Farmers have to change to a different way of farming, and it takes long to convert the farms to organic. Unless they have a commitment from somebody who will buy, they don't want to go down the journey. So we are exploring, and in fact we are doing projects, some pilots with CDC of UK, who is one of our investors, to do this kind of experiment.
I mean, since you've also got some experience with the agricultural side as well, working with farmers, there's a tremendous demand now increasing for healthy food, for green, and for eco-friendly and organic.
Yes.
How are you venturing or handling this opportunity, and how are you educating your suppliers and farmers into getting into this area?
As I said, so 5 to 6% of our fruits and vegetables is now organic. We are the largest organic staples seller on Big Basket through our own private label, right? Which is all certified organic. And we have launched a lot of our private label in the health space with the health positioning. So we have a brand called BB Good Diet, which focuses on all of these superfoods, and then, because we know what our consumers are buying and what the trends are. So we are introducing healthy options for snacking, healthy options for other kinds of products across the board. So we are pretty much seeing that trend and then leveraging that to launch our own private label in those spaces.
Oh, that's very good. And the increasingly now going back to technology, because we are in a technology conference, we are talking about innovation. Have you seen the need for bringing in AI and machine learning into the entire process to sort of strengthen let's put it, to personalize the experience of the customer? Are you thinking about that, and what are you working on?
Data is obviously very, very critical for us from that perspective. So we have a full analytics team which kind of works on this, and I mean these are different names, but at the end of the day you are basically analyzing the data for better customer experience of sorts, right? So we use, because we have a full transaction history, right, from the time a customer comes and buys a product, and then over whatever months, years, we have full transaction data, right? So we actually use that to offer a much better experience to the consumer. Idea being that you want to first save time, right? Because as I said, it's a get in, get out kind of a scenario, right? You want to quickly, you know exactly what you want to buy. So you want to finish that buying, as fast as possible, right? So what we have built is something called a smart basket, which then carries your topmost 200 products bought often from by you. So you are able to finish your shopping within 7 minutes. We say use smart basket and you will be done with your stuff in just 7 minutes. So we use a lot of that. We also obviously keep track of who bought when, what, right? And so when you are checking out, typically, because it's a grocery, it's a wide range of products, we ask them, did you forget this? Because you bought this and basis your consumption, you might have run out of this, right? So we kind of prompt them to then add some of those products which might they have forgotten, right? So we do a lot of customer, individual buying behavior analysis using their past behavior to offer them a much better, offering, right, from that perspective. Also, whenever we introduce new products, then we know who bought what and hence who would be most likely to buy this new product. And that's when we kind of target and share this because, as I said, discovery is a challenge. When you introduce a new product, because people are not coming and browsing much, right, because they want to quickly finish, they know exactly what they want to buy. Introducing new products is always a challenge. So you define those personas that who would be the right fit. So if you're launching a new, let's say a food product, then somebody who has bought these other products would be the person who would want to buy this, right? So that's when we do the sampling with them, and then with the sampling we track after they got the sample, have they then actually came and bought it, and how has been their buying pattern. So all that, right granular data is there which gets used to improve the entire experience. Yeah.
No, that's fascinating. Now, because technology now is really at the core of a lot of these operations in making things more seamless, in making it more personalized as well. Correct.
So that's the customer side. People might be interested in also knowing how we use technology for a lot of back-end stuff, right? The core for us is also on-time delivery, right? Because as I said, the customers are who is really facing time poverty. They're very particular about when they want to receive, and this is grocery, right? Which means that you are planning to use it for your breakfast, lunch, or dinner, right? It's not that phone which can come 2 days later or apparel which can come few days later, right? This is something I want to go into use. So on-time delivery is one key thing which we really focus on, and we use route planning algorithms, and we achieve actually currently 99.5% on-time deliveries, right, across our 26 cities in the madness what we have on the roads, right? So we leverage the technology wherein we have each and every customer's lat long saved in our systems. We know exactly where the customer's house is, and we know from where the van or the bike has to start to deliver. So do a lot of this whole optimization, keeping into consideration the traffic, the distance, the time it takes to deliver. So huge application of technology over there to be able to achieve this kind of on-time delivery performance.
Correct. And is that proprietary? Is that a proprietary?
Yeah, part of it is proprietary. Part we work with a partner. So
it's developed for you. Basically.
Yes. Yeah.
And you've got patents.
Yes.
You patented
we haven't got patents, but we have filed patents.
Yeah. Because it's important to protect those kinds of technologies going forward. Coming back to the social angle of this, because we are facing in India currently a severe crisis of joblessness,
Yeah.
And I don't see really, also there's another problem which is happening, which is automation.
Yeah.
Which wasn't, the problem wasn't there before, where, there's a large number of jobs that are being removed, particularly in the informal sector and also in the lower level of production as well. So those jobs which used to be done by hand can now be done by machines. Now AI is coming in and they will be able to do it at a much higher level.
Yeah.
How do you see, firstly, I know that this may not strictly be your domain, but how do you see this issue playing out, and what do you think technology companies like us, what can we do to sort of make sure that we have a more equitable society and more job creation for all?
So what we have done, actually, we have not kind of blindly went and kind of embraced automation, right? So we have no physical automation in our warehouses. So we don't have conveyor belts and we don't have robots and stuff like that, right? So all of that is being done by humans. So we actually employ close to 20,000 odd employees. And these are all, majority of them are blue collar, which would have otherwise not got a job, right? So they are the pickers in the warehouses. We have used the technology to basically use data to automate our processes, but not the physical aspect of the processes, right? So we deploy huge number of people in the warehouses. Obviously, all the delivery people are all, are the so-called the gig economy workers, right? So that way we actually are generating a lot of jobs from that perspective. People who would not have otherwise got jobs.
So gig economy is producing most of the jobs
Yes.
right now, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And however, you know, the gig economy has been criticized
Yeah.
for not providing employee protection benefits and security
Right.
enough. You know, do you think that there is a social responsibility?
Half an hour back, I got a news item forwarded to me which says now government actually is already passed wherein they are extending the state insurance benefits to all the gig economy workers. So just half an hour back, I got this news item. So government is realizing that there's a need to support the gig economy because they are generating jobs and hence they are coming.
But you know, the trend overseas is a bit different, you know, because the trend overseas is for, I mean, what I'm seeing is that, you know, for companies to clamp down for governments to clamp down on companies, telling them that you have to actually support the gig economy workers by providing protections. We are not going to, so they seem to be passing the risk more onto the companies.
Right.
In India, I mean, maybe right now the wind might be a little favorable because the industry is sort of weak right now, and they do want to encourage the IT industry right now,
Right.
correct? In the absence of growth overall. But
Right.
going forward, you know, if there is a rise in, let's say, leftist kind of
Right.
thinking, you know,
Right.
leftism, if that rises, then there might be pressure on corporations to enact it directly, you know.
Yes.
In which case, if you're left with a situation where you have a very attractive automation option, but that could displace, say, a large number of workers, but it's attractive to you. How would you debate that, or how would you think about that particular option?
So I mean, it's about a business case, and I mean we can debate it obviously.
Sure,
If you take the
It's hypothetical.
it's like if you take the argument in say why India became the whole IT backbone for the world, right? Because obviously there were protests saying that, oh, you are shipping the jobs outside of US, right? But then that really opened a huge sector for us, right? So I mean, it's a business case. You can't stop a business case, right? Then because it is better for the overall, right? And hence you analyze it only from that lens, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a business case which wins, I guess, right? So we have to see it from that light always,
Correct,
right? And over a period of time, it helps. So one argument is that I am shipping jobs outside of US to India, right, when it comes to IT. But then those exact services help those industries in US to be more productive than others elsewhere in the world, right? So it kind of comes back to you in terms of some economic advantage, right? Some kind of efficiency which kind of drives the whole thing. Because you get a 24-hour by 7 working cycle when you are shipping jobs because of the 12-hour time difference, right? So all of those things, I mean, finally, kind of, if you look at it from a very unbiased view and just economic sense, overall it pays off to everybody.
Yeah, so I think that's the idealistic argument which I also hold up, you know, in that there will be long-term benefits,
Yes.
but there could be some short-term pain as well, right?
Yeah.
So the whole challenge is how do you sort of tide over those short-term bumps,
Right.
so that your long-term you're on the right path,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But thank you so much. I think that was a wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
And I mean, do you have any questions for me, or do you have any questions? Anything you'd like
Anybody
to
has
say?
any questions? I mean, the audience can ask. I think time is already up, but if there is any question, we can take, I guess. No?
I believe we don't have questions
that's good.
coming up. Thank you.